Hi, Charles SirBookSage here with my 2022 BookTube Goals video. I'm pretty excited for 2022 and my channel here. I finally have a properly working camera going forward. I bought the Fujifilm X-T3 to replace my X-T1. And I have been working on what I want to accomplish on this channel in terms of content for 2022. And here's just a quick rundown. This is kind of a quick overview video. Next week, or the upcoming week, I'm going to have basically a very quick 3-part little video series going over my sort of winter goals. There's going to be a winter TBR video, a winter writing video, and a winter TV video. And the reason I'm doing a very short winter TV video is these particular shows I'm going to be talking about, or TV series I'm hoping to finish. They actually tie into books I want to read. They're based on book series, so I wanted to finish off the TV series before I dived into the actual books that they're based on. So it's still book-related content, even though it's television stuff. Anyway, on to my actual goals for 2022. If you're not aware, my favorite author of all time is J.R.R. Tolkien, and my favorite works of his, of course, are his whole legendarium, which includes The Silmarillion, The Hobbit, The Lord of the Rings. Everything is written in that world, and I have read it extensively, and I have no real excuse for why I do not have tons of Tolkien content on my channel. I've mentioned this before. It's one of the original reasons I created this channel in the first place and got sucked into the BookTube world and sidetracked. I do have a video on my channel where I defend the 3 Tom Bombadil chapters and explain why I believe they're 3 of the most important chapters in the entire Lord of the Rings story. So you'll find that linked here, down there. So go give that a watch after this. But expect to see monthly Tolkien content. With Amazon's Lord of the Rings TV show coming out, I think in September of 2022, I want to start creating a series of kind of background videos. I'll have some spoiler-related ones as well, because I do want to kind of do a deep dive into the first age, the second age, the third age. But I also want to create some sort of background videos, like what is Numenor, and what are the different factions of the elves, kind of different things like that for people who've never read any of Tolkien's more expanded story. Kind of give you a feel for some of the things the show should be touching on. Now, hopefully, Amazon does a good job. I was pleasantly surprised by their Wheel of Time Season 1. Plenty of issues with it, of course, as a book reader, but overall, I came away with a positive experience. And I'm really worried about the Lord of the Rings show, only based on some of the things that I've heard about it, and nothing to do with casting or anything, just some of the creative choices they're making. But that's a whole separate other video. This is supposed to be about my BookTube 2022 goals. So, monthly Tolkien Legendarium content. I'm also going to have monthly A Song of Ice and Fire content. While I'm filming this, I'm actually uploading my next Winds of Winter Theory video, where I go over who I think is going to die in that book. And that was a fun one to film. It's long, but it's fun. There's always so much to talk about in the Song of Ice and Fire world. Which brings me up to one of my 2022 goals is up here on the shelf there is Fire and Blood. I have dipped into that here and there, but I've never sat down and just read the whole thing through. So that's one of my priorities for 2022, especially with the House of the Dragon TV show coming out. I want to actually dive into that lore that the show's going to be based on before the show comes out. So expect to see some Fire and Blood content coming up on my channel this year. Besides all of that, I have a fun reading month that I'm planning to do in September. and where I am going to do a throwback to BookTube September 2017. That's when I actually joined BookTube. I created my channel back then. And there's a few book series that were like just super popular at the time. They were on the back of everyone's shelves, and their videos all had these books. And so I want to actually spend the month of September finally reading some of those, because I bought a bunch of them at the time. So I am going to finish, because I read the first book, The Raven Boys. I'm going to finish reading The Raven Cycle this September, and I'm going to finally read The Lunar Chronicles. So those two series are my September 2017 kind of retro throwback September 2022 reading month. It should be a fun project to finally get around to reading those two series, which were just super, super popular in the BookTube community at the time. Outside of that, I'm also going to be continuing my first time read of the Malazan series. I'm reading the main Book of the Fallen 10-book series, and I'm reading the companion, I think it's 6 books, Malazan series as well. And I've kind of got them in a particular reading order where I'm reading all 16 combined. And I am, as of the filming of this video, I have about 100 pages to go in House of Chains. 3rd book in the main series, 4th book in the way I'm reading it. And that book started out really slow, but super, super excited for that one. So that's going to be continuing on through 2022. I really want to finish Malazan by the end of 2022. I'm also going to be continuing my first time read through of Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere. I read Elantris and the first Mistborn book in the latter part of 2022. And I'm going to be starting up with books 2 and 3 of the first Mistborn series. That's going to be coming up next in terms of my Cosmere read. And then I'm probably going to read Warbreaker after that. And then I have a decision to make about where I'm going to go from there. Do I go for the second Mistborn set of books, or do I just dive into Stormlight Archives? I'll see when I get there. So I still have books 2 and 3 of Mistborn and Warbreaker to get to before I have to make that decision. So for any of you Cosmere fans down below, if you have any thoughts about or suggestions on reading order once I get past Mistborn and Warbreaker, just let me know in the comments below. I am also going to be continuing my Honor Harrington first time read. I think I'm on book 6 or 7. I think I've finished book 6, so I might be starting book 7 next. That's also another series I really want to finish by the end of 2022 as well. One of the other main reasons I started this channel back in September of 2017 was I wanted to highlight some of what I grew up with, some of the sci-fi and fantasy classics I grew up reading. And that's another one of my initial goals right out of the gate that I got sidetracked from. So I'm going to be doing that this year as well. I'm hoping to have that as monthly content once a month to highlight, kind of dive into a classic. Childhood's End, Rendezvous with Rama is going to be coming up on my channel. I did hear that Denis Villeneuve apparently wants to tackle that story after he finishes Dune, and that would be super exciting. Rendezvous with Rama is one of my all-time favorite sci-fi classics. When it was published, I think it won like every sci-fi award that existed at the time. There's actually, I think, 3 more books that continue that story overall, and I really enjoyed this series as a whole, but that first one is just, it's one of those books where there's like nothing missing and nothing added unnecessarily. It's just one of those like perfectly written books for what it is. So I'm looking forward to like exploring that kind of stuff. And some point before the year is over, I'm also going to introduce content on my second favorite author of all time, Andre Norton. I've probably read more Andre Norton books than I've read books from any other author as I've grown up. They're in storage in New York right now, but I probably have like 30, 40 of her paperbacks in storage. And I've read at least another 20 of her books beyond the ones that I own. And I have been away from her stories for way, way too long. So I know as I dive back into like classics, I'm going to pivot and end up with some Andre Norton rereads as well. Especially excited to revisit the Witch World series, which is probably my second favorite genre fantasy or genre fiction series of all time, behind Tolkien's Legendarium. Yeah, I'd probably put Witch World second, even above Earthsea and some others. And yeah, super, super excited. But that's much later in the year. That's probably the last quarter of 2022. So I'm really kind of reaching out there. Now, as far as YouTube goals go, I really do hope I finally hit that 1,000 subscriber plateau. I'm around like 760, 762, I think is the filming of this video. So hitting 1,000 by the end of the year should be achievable if I actually set and stick to a regular schedule. Oh, which reminds me, I also, now that I have this camera, I want to start doing live streaming. I want to get to where like I have a weekly live stream just to kind of chat and stuff. Most likely Saturday evenings, because Saturday night's the most realistically best time for me to try to have a weekly scheduled live stream. So I still need to get a capture card to have better quality live streaming. I can plug the X-T3 directly into the computer and use their Fuji's webcam sort of software. It's better than a regular webcam, but still not the quality I'd prefer. But, just getting those live streams going, can't wait for perfect equipment. As long as it's working equipment. So, most likely, I'll have a live stream in January. Maybe one, maybe two. Who knows? But I want to get to where that's every Saturday night as a regular thing. Because it's fun to actually have a few people watching live and get to interact and chat and answer questions and things and kind of bounce theories back and forth, whether it's A Song of Ice and Fire or, wondering what absolute utter dumpster fire train wreck Amazon's going to do to Tolkien's works. But I have to hope that they're going to manage to give us something really great. Not too happy with what I'm hearing, but that's a whole nother video. Anyway, before I start rambling too much, those are kind of my initial, 2022 BookTube goals. Again, look out for my little 3-part, little mini Winter Goals video series that's going to be coming up next week. Most likely, for those of you who are watching this a week or two from now, those are already up on my channel. So let's look forward together to a fantastic 2022, a fantastic reading year, and hopefully a great publishing year. I have not even really looked to see what the big books are that are coming this year. I'm still I was deep into Malazan and all those things, so I'm not even caught up to the new stuff yet. That's something I was hoping to do 2022, but more and more looking like a 2023 to get to John Gwynne and some others. But hey, well, you never know. I might get on a roll and knock out Malazan or Harrington or one of these quicker than I expect. And then that'll open up all new possibilities for exploring some other stories. That's my 2022 goals. I look forward to sharing this journey together. I will see you in the comments. I am Charles. This is my SirBookSage BookTube channel. Happy reading.